I'm a dismissive avoidant. I want love, but I lack the capacity to give it and to receive it. I'm a dismissive avoidant, and I struggle with shame, that feeling like I'm defective, like there's something wrong with me and I'm not really lovable. And that comes from my childhood, where I received consistent emotional neglect from my parents. I mean, they loved me. They gave me a roof over my head and food and clothing, but we didn't really talk about feelings. And when I needed support from them emotionally, they just weren't there for me. And I personalized it. So I feel pretty defective. I'm a dismissive avoidant, and I struggle with self reflection and introspection. I really don't look within, and I make other people and other things the scapegoat for my insecurities and my behaviors. I blame it on them. And that's because of that wound of shame. See, if I take accountability, I essentially am admitting that I'm defective. But if it's somebody else's fault, then I don't have to self reflect and I don't have to face that wound of shame. That wound of shame, I avoid it at all costs. I'm a dismissive avoidant. And because of that wound of shame and that lack of self reflection, I struggle to learn from my relationship failures. I tell myself when I meet the right person, I won't feel the need to exit the relationship. I'm a dismissive avoidant, and I feel very uncomfortable and very stressed out when things get too close, when there's too much intimacy, too much love, too much emotions. It's that wound of shame. Now, subconsciously and sometimes consciously, I'm afraid that if I let my walls down and I let my partner in, they're going to figure out that I'm defective and I'm going to get rejected and they're going to realize that I'm not lovable. I'm a dismissive avoidant. So when things get too close, I feel the urge to push my partner away. That way, when there's emotional distance, I feel safe again because I don't feel smothered, I don't feel suffocated, and I don't feel like I'm at risk for getting exposed as being defective. But I really don't want to face all that. So I try to find reasons in my own head that it's my partner's fault that I need to push them away. I'll tell myself they're too clingy, they're too needy, they're just too this, they're too that. We're just incompatible. Because that way, I don't have to actually face that inner shame, which drives my insecurities. I'm a dismissive avoidant. I really fear conflict. And that's another thing that'll cause me to want to run away. As a kid, I could not express my feelings. They were shot down and dismissed. I get in trouble if I express too much emotions. So when there's any kind of disagreement, it really triggers those feelings of defectiveness and fears of rejection and anxiety. So I shut down and tell myself that a relationship should be easy. There shouldn't be any conflict. There shouldn't be any disagreements because I'm afraid that if I get into a disagreement, I'm not going to meet the expectations of my partner and they're going to reject me. I'm a dismissive avoidant. Emotions were never safe for me to express, so I learned they're just not safe in general. So I look for ways to avoid feeling my emotions, and I will distract myself and immerse myself in things like work, because that way I'm distracted. And the bonus is that if I have a romantic partner, the work, it helps keep emotional distance between me and them. I'm a dismissive avoidant, and I'm a love bomber. I will let all these bottled up and suppressed emotions flow out onto you early in the relationship. You see, I think you're the answer to all my problems when we start dating. You haven't triggered my wounds yet. My fears have not been activated. So I think I finally got it right. I met the right person this time, and that dopamine is flying high, and I'm feeling good, and it's masking all of my insecurities. Problem is when that dopamine starts to come down and the relationship gets more real, my fears start to get triggered, but I don't want to face that shame, so I need to find a way to blame it on you. I'm a dismissive avoidant, and I struggle with emotional growth and emotional maturity. You see, I really struggle with self reflection and introspection, so I'm always blaming other people for my actions. So I don't really learn from mistakes and failures, especially when it comes to relationships. I can learn a little bit in the workplace, but I don't really learn anything when it comes to emotional stuff. So I actually have a bit of emotional immaturity, and when I get triggered, sometimes I'll give you very childlike responses, and I can also be very impulsive. And I need immediate gratification because that gratification gives me dopamine, helps me mask those wounds that I don't want to face. I'm a dismissive avoidant. I feel safer in a relationship with a partner that's toxic, like a narcissist, or another avoidant, because there's no threat of emotional intimacy in that relationship. That person has their walls up and I have mine. It doesn't trigger my wounds. I do grow tired of it though, and then I long for the real thing. But when I find the real thing, it triggers my wounds and I push that person away. All I really want is to be loved. I just don't know how to actually receive it or give it. I'm a dismissive avoidant. I have a really hard time considering the needs of my partner and the feelings of my partner. I've learned from childhood the only person that'll ever look after me is me. So I got to look out for my own needs first. And I also really struggle to empathize with my partner when I'm triggered because I'm really just so focused on my own needs. It's really hard to consider them and consider the pain they might be in. I'm a dismissive avoidant. I can heal and I can become secure. I can actually do it. I can become emotionally available. I just have to want it. I have to want it badly enough to go up against my lifetime of programming, which means I can't avoid anymore. I got to lean into the discomfort. And I can learn that that wound of shame, that defectiveness isn't real. I'm not defective. I'm not unlovable. I actually can be loved and be worthy of love and give it in return. I just have to commit to doing the inner work, facing the things I'm afraid of, and follow through with different actions and repeat those new actions so those new actions become automatic to me. But I can do it. I can learn to be a good partner.